And welcome back. And we are now at part 2 of week 4, the final week of the new 52 here in the Shadow Gallery with RETCONVERSATIONS. So, now if you saw the previous video, which I hope you did, we are now going to talk about, we were talking at the end there about density and some of the comics that are lacking it, that deserve more, and some that are certainly, they actually get more pages than they're due. And this is one of two comics that I'm going to talk about right now that I think struck a really good balance between the two, and that is Superman #1. This is a book where density was absolutely not the issue as far as it being too short or too compact. This was really, obviously, Superman, their longest running character. I think they want to do him more justice than what we had seen previously with Superman in this particular, in these new 52 issues. Because like I said about, Grant Morrison's Action Comics, I thought it was garbage, and, just ew. But anyway, so, like I said, this is really not, I'm not really feeling, with this issue that it being too short was a problem. It was a nice, thick, layered issue. George Perez, great guy, great artist. I wasn't really too familiar with his writing, to be honest. But this is written by him. I was kind of bummed the art wasn't by him. But anyway, it feels a little bit like the kind of the mid '80s Byrne kind of retcon that he did, as far as Superman was concerned. Bringing it, instead of Lex being the mad scientist villain, he was more of this kind of entrepreneurial, it was kind of like, it was a very 80s issue. It was, a rich man, who's a villain. And that's, that still kind of resonates, so I would say, certainly in this era as well. In these past couple of years where, but Lex doesn't even actually enter this issue. We've got a new Morgan Edge, who has been presented to us before. He's always been white, now he's black. Makes no difference to me, I don't care. Some people, it was kind of an issue for that Morgan Edge suddenly, on bleedingcool.com, I saw a little thing about, that Morgan Edge had suddenly gone from white to black, and there was, a bit of an issue about that. Who cares? Good, there's another black character in comics. And also, again, this idea of, the similar idea, like I said, with, Byrne's Superman Man of Steel series, it has a similar kind of feel to it, with how that the Daily Planet, this actually begins with the old Daily Planet building being razed to the ground, and a brand new Daily Planet building, this new futuristic, beautiful tower that they're now in, and it's talking about how journalism, how basically print journalism is dying, and digital era of journalism is the new thing, and that's what everybody has to get on board with. And there is a clash of ideologies here with Clark and Lois. Lois is she is kind of behind. She's, I can't remember if they made her like the editor-in-chief of the new kind of the digital journalism area, or if it's just or if she's just just like kind of a figurehead for it. I don't know. I kind of actually forgot that part, because there is a lot to take in this issue, which is good in this particular case. And Clark is very old school. He wants to stick with print. So that's, that leads to this kind of, this collision that these two characters are on, despite the fact that they still respect each other. But we'll get into the Clark Lois thing in a bit. Like I said, it's a really good first issue. Again, this is something that can be a problem, that has been a problem, and in some of the other issues I'll talk about, it still is a problem with it being, whether it's a good first issue or not, to get introduced to the character. This is a really good example of that. The art, and I can't remember the name of the person who does it. The art was really good. Not George Perez good, but it was still really good. And then, of course, we have to talk a bit now about Clark and Lois. Now, this is not an Action Comics style retcon. This is a different bit of a retcon, because this basically lays the groundwork that, okay, well, actually, Clark and Lois were never in a relationship together. Clark is still in love with Lois, but they're not in a relationship together. So, and they never were. In fact, she's in a relationship with somebody else, and that's pretty succinctly illustrated at the end of the book, that she's definitely with some other guy now. So it was, it's a lot of, there's a bit of an outcry about this as far as this particular issue of, Clark and Lois not being together, and they've never been together, according to this comic. But either way, it works. It helps to, again, kind of rebuild on what's already come. Because, I mean, this, basically, the New 52, they're basically saying, okay, we are now entering a new era for a lot of our characters. A lot of our characters are going to have changes. And some of those changes are going to involve their long-lasting relationships. So it gives them the opportunity to, to see what else can happen here. They did, something similar with, with Spider-Man, kind of, the whole kind of, the One Last Day, or whatever the hell it was called, that, stupid piece of crap that Straczynski and Quesada did before Dan Slott came on board and really kind of pumped it up. Brought, really breathed new life into it. So, something kind of similar to that, but just, in this case, it works. I think it works okay. As opposed to, this kind of, the deal with the devil and everything, like, we're dealing with Mephisto, as it went with Spider-Man. So the whole, kind of Barry Iris thing in The Flash and Clark Lois thing here in Superman #1, I think people are making an issue out of something that really shouldn't be such a big issue. So, okay, moving on. Green Lantern, New Guardians. I know what you're thinking. Another GL book, really? I mean, aren't there like 20? No, there's really only, this is, the third Green Lantern book. However, there is a Red Lanterns book, which I thought was actually pretty good. I did not like Green Lantern, really at all. I didn't review Green Lantern Corps, which I thought was okay, but again, not, it was a little too, just didn't really do it for me. This is a little bit stronger. However, again, this suffers from the lack of length. This is one of those comics that I think would have really benefited from having a longer, either less splash pages or just more story, less art, I guess, is the best way that I can say it. it gets, because we have, it begins with the kind of the retelling or rehash of Kyle Rayner getting the ring when Hal went all nutso because of Parallax, and there's no women in refrigerators that I can foresee in this series, so thank God for that. It's interesting, but it's really scattered because basically what we're seeing here is that all of the different ring bear all the different ring colors, the different spectrum colors. Each one is kind of leaving a carrier that it belongs to, and it's all going to Sector 2814, and it all winds up in Kyle's hands. And so all of these other lanterns are descending upon Kyle because for some reason he's getting all of these rings, which is, again, that's kind of where the story ends. And it really, really, really could have benefited from more story time and less setup, I guess, to the next issue. It's just it seems like it's a teaser of a longer first issue. So, and that's what a lot of these comics feel like. They're just teasers. Kyle, honestly, I'm going to be completely honest with you, and some of this are going to be considered a sacrilege. Kyle is actually my favorite GL. I can kind of relate to him the easiest of all of them. There was one funny part where somebody kind of made fun of his costume. But he is, he's the artist. He's the most artistic of all of the GLs. John Stewart's a different kind of artist. His is more blueprinty, and Kyle's is more, kind of free-formed. It's kind of like, John Stewart might be, he might be classical, and and Kyle is more jazzy, as far as his style of ring slinging is concerned. So I'm on board for at least a couple more issues of this, since Kyle's going to be the center of attention, because quite frankly I'm kind of sick of Hal. And John Stewart and Guy Gardner don't really interest me that much. So this is my favorite of the Green Lantern books so far, but that's not really saying a whole lot, because they've all been kind of either really below par with Green Lantern, subpar, just barely with Green Lantern Corps. And now we're shooting a little above par, but just by maybe a shot or two. So enough with the sports analogies here. All right, I'm going to do a really quick one here because I have it written down, and I just want to talk about it for a second. BLACKHAWKS. I have written down here 3 times, who cares, who cares, who cares. That's all that I thought. The whole time that I was reading it, which did not amount to much time, because, again, it's a really, it's an extraordinarily scattered read. I was just thinking, who cares? Who cares about this group? I know that Lady Blackhawk, she's a big character in or at least was in Birds of Prey, so I know she's kind of cool. But as far as the rest of these characters are concerned, I don't give a shit. It really did nothing for me. It had no hook. It had just, there was nothing really interesting going on. So that's how I felt about it. Who cares? That's it. So okay, we're going to talk a little bit more. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with part 3.